So Providence, great place to be.
Yeah, and also very close to Boston and New York.
Right.
Relatively, at least. There's the Providence Amtrak station to Boston is literally an hour, and then from Providence to New York, if you get like a Greyhound bus, it's like 3 hours, which is not bad
Not
for like
bad.
a weekend or like a 3-day weekend. If you want to just go up there, it's brilliant, and it's also a way to get away from big city too. If you want to be in a smaller place, I think there is a little bit of reputation of the Brown bubble because Brown is literally on top of a hill. So
Okay.
you have Brown here on the hill, then you have the hill, and then you have downtown.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of closed off from the rest of Providence, the campus.
You can always get there. It's just a downhill walk. It's not very far. It's like 10 minutes.
Okay.
And RISD is on the hill.
Okay. RISD's on the hill.
So it's like a gradient. You have downtown, you have the art students, and then you have the Brown students.
Nice.
So that's kind of how I view the city. It's always like you go up for a campus and you go down for downtown.
Okay. Do you want to try selling us Brown? Do you really need to?
That's part of it.
Other than it being like an Ivy.
Right. You have the distinct advantages of an alumni network, of the prestige, of the name value, of course. The big thing that you already know, and everyone knows, the open curriculum. Very few requirements. There's a writing component that you have to do twice, once in your first 2 years, once in your last 2 years. And then in my time, it was called DAP, but it's like a diversity and racial inclusion requirement where you have to take at least 1 or 2 courses that talk about or deal with or discuss race in usually a disparities or a way that gives you better perspective on racial issues in the US or worldwide. But outside of that, you can take whatever the hell you want, pretty much. You have physics students taking archaeology courses. You have archaeology students taking math courses. You have math students taking Egyptology and Assyriology courses. We have one of the best Egyptology courses because we're one of the only schools that has Egyptology. And there are a lot of fun courses at Brown, and it's very much a culture of if you email a professor because you want to take a course, even though you don't have the requirements for it, as long as you're willing to prove that you have at least some background,
Some
and
proficiency.
you are dedicated, they will usually let you in.
Wow.
Even grad courses.
Okay. Do you think that's possible because you're more of a mid-sized school that you have that flexibility?
Very much so. And the faculty at Brown are dedicated to teaching. They are forced to teach. It's kind of one of those things.
Define forced.
So I say forced and more like Brown only hires faculty that want to teach, as
Okay.
opposed to places maybe at larger schools where
Like
research,
NYU.
where like you have leading people in their field because they do research and they are primarily focused on research, and so your classes might be more led by grad students or PhD students. Brown never has that. The faculty are there to teach, and they love teaching, and they love interfacing with students. And so they're very available, they're very open, and that's one of the things I think allows me to connect a lot more with the people that are teaching the courses.
That's really nice.
They're very excited to teach. And student-to-faculty ratio is a bit of a weird number because it can be manipulated in a lot of different ways. But I think that at Brown, if you get to the upper-level seminar courses, and not even upper, like mid-level seminar courses in almost every department except the really big ones, you will get to classes that are like 20 people, 25 people to a professor, which is really good.
Okay. In terms of NYU, I think one of the best parts of NYU, and something about my kind of time at NYU that we haven't discussed yet, which is also partially why it took me so long to graduate, which is I ended up transferring out of Tisch into the College of Arts and Science. So I was at Tisch for about a year, and then I figured out I don't really want to study cinema studies. I don't really want to be a writer. I thought I wanted to professionally write. I think about a year in, I knew that I was not really cut out to write as a career. That's not just how I wanted to live my adult life. And so I decided to transfer. I wanted to stay at NYU, so I transferred into the College of Arts and Science. And I was able to kind of take a bunch of intro and 101 courses in like humanities. And I ended up graduating as an economics major, and I also did a minor in politics. So that's what I mostly studied for the latter half of my time at NYU. And one of the things that I love about our school is that NYU has a lot of different departments, a lot of different schools. So we have Tisch, which is the arts school. We have College of Arts and Science, that's basically most of your humanities and social sciences. We have Tandon, which is the School of Engineering. We have Stern, which is the business school. We also have Gallatin, which is our individualized study program. So all of the different schools have a super specialized kind of breadth of discipline, and the faculty there and the programs there are built around that discipline. So Tisch is built around just teaching the arts. Tandon is really built around studying engineering and the sciences. So I really like that all of the different schools have a specialization. They are focused on one area, but as an NYU student, you're given a lot of flexibility across those different schools. So even after I transferred into the College of Arts and Sciences, I was able to continue studying, taking some film courses at Tisch. Tisch also has a wonderful program called the Open Arts Program, which is open to any NYU student. You're able to take a lot of different courses in film and theater and theory classes and more kind of application or studio classes you can take, which is really wonderful for you to kind of indulge all of your curiosities. Everybody is encouraged to try out different things, try out electives, and NYU also has a lot of really specific kind of niche courses. Like one of my favorite classes that I took was sociology in East Asian media. So it was a course in media, but it was really a sociology class, and it was specifically about East Asian media. So it was how East Asian media is produced and consumed, and kind of the sociological analysis of why that is the case, which is like an intersection of sociology, anthropology, history, economics, film, kind of all of those things in one. And it was like one of those courses where I was sitting in class and I was like, I can't believe this is school.
Sometimes also in these like larger, these higher tier schools, you see people like really famous. Like, okay, so I only said I remember this one course where it was co-taught by Jim Yong Kim.
Ooh.
Former World Bank
Really?
president.
Yeah.
So he'd come in and like sometimes on Zoom, sometimes in person to teach. I just remember that being really cool. And like
Yeah.
just having the opportunity to take that course. And
Yeah.
also like he held office hours. Like I'll
Right.
talk to him one-on-one. That was
Yeah.
kind of cool.
One of my that's really interesting you say that, because one of my favorite books that I read in high school was called The White Man's Burden by William Easterly. It's it's a book in economics. It's about kind of like social infrastructure and how like UNOs and NGOs operate or should operate. And I went to New York. I mean, I was at NYU and I saw him in an elevator, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the guy that wrote that book that I read, and I can't believe we're standing in the same elevator now, because he teaches at NYU. I think he still does. So definitely there are some like wonderful faculty. There are wonderful programs and classes that you can
the
take.
head of public health, the head of the public health school at Brown, Ashish Jha, was I think head of the coronavirus response for the White House
Really?
during the time. So I think he was appointed head of School of Public Health, and then he immediately left to
go
help the coronavirus
to deal with
situation.
COVID. Okay.
And then he came back.
All right. Oh, that's yeah. So there are a lot of and I think this is also a really great point to write about in your why school essays. If there is something specific you're interested in, if there's any like notable faculty, I mean, don't do like a random Google search just to like write about
No.
something. But if there is something you are interested in, or something you have read, or something you're kind of keeping your eye out for, and you know that there's some connection with the school, that's a really wonderful topic to write about. If I'm just thinking off the top of my head, NYU has also a really great law school. A lot of the undergraduate courses that are like in politics and law are also really great. The economics program at NYU is wonderful. There's like because you also studied. No, you did not study economics.
No,
You studied politics.
I studied. Well, here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
The open curriculum is originally designed so that students in one concentration, we call them concentrations but majors, are able to take courses in a variety of different programs and courses and concentrations.
All right.
I did my own thing with the open curriculum.
Okay.
Where I decided to, because each concentration has less courses than a traditional major in other colleges, why not take advantage of that and get a couple degrees? So at Brown, I studied international and public affairs, public health, and computer science.
It's a lot of different
as a
things.
triple major, triple
Right.
concentrator, which I think is getting banned.
Is it?
I think they're no longer allowing it. But I used it in my own way because I wanted to study deeply into those three things.
Right.
And so, yeah.
And you're really kind of curious about the intersection of those things.
Yeah, I found an intersection, but I just really liked to broaden my horizons a lot because I do enjoy talking about things with people, which is very broad, but it's because I like to have common links. So whether it's a pre-med student or an economics student or an engineer or a philosopher, I have something to dig into with everybody. And I think that I enjoy being in that position. So learning, being able to talk about Python, but also being able to talk about the UN gives me a broad scope to dig in. A little like my backpack of conversation topics is quite deep.
Right. You wanted a range.
Yeah.
Okay.
It also looks good on a resume.
Sure.
I
Definitely.
also have a bachelor's of arts in computer science, so I'm a little bit of a Mickey Mouse computer science major.
Okay.
But I can kind of code in Java. I wrote in C. So
You have a foundation for it.
it's a little bit stolen valor, but
Okay. All right.
I'm taking that to the bank. I do think it's great that Brown has a lot of clubs. We have a lot of student organizations, and we have some unique ones. We have a cappella groups both for Disney songs only,
Ooh.
and also for sea shanties. We have a pirate a cappella group.
You only sing.
They only sing like sea shanties and like pirate related songs,
Okay.
and they have like dress up, and they're really it looks like a lot of fun.
It sounds fun. Sounds like people you'd want at an event.
Yeah, they performed at like family weekend and all that.
Yeah. Are there? Okay.
I'm trying to think of more.
You're
actually.
trying.
Yeah, I tried.
It's been a while. It's been a while. So I mean, it's been a while for me too.
There's a Taylor Swift club.
There is, yes. I saw a video of the Taylor Swift Club at Brown reacting when the Midnight's album dropped. Like they had an auditorium and everybody like listened to it together.
I forget what it was called. It was after song lyric, but
It sounds amazing. Like
okay. Now it's coming out that you're a Swiftie.
that sounds amazing. Like I would have joined that. But
There's a very robust club sports program there at Brown as well. So if you're
Nice.
not like wanting to commit to varsity level, but you still want to be athletic, you still want to be active, great club sports. Also a great intramural scene. So I did intramural soccer and basketball some years. That was fun. So there's a thing called the Sci-Li Challenge. It's a the Sciences Library is one of the biggest buildings on campus and one of the biggest buildings in Providence. And you say that the best view of Providence is at the top of the Sci-Li because you cannot see the Sci-Li. And there's something called the Sci-Li Challenge where there's a lot of things about it, but I think the most popular one is you start on the first floor and you take a shot going up every floor in the emergency stairwell, and you start at the top floor and you go down and you see how far down you can get. There's something called the Ratty Challenge where the Ratty's a dining hall. It's called Ratty because I think back in the day it was infested with rats. It's very clean now, but it's a beloved old dining hall. You stay there when it opens. You start when it opens at 7:30 and you stay there until it closes at like 9:30. And you just stay there the entire day, the Ratty sit-in. There's something called the Naked Donut Run.
okay.
The Naked Donut Run.
Is that what it sounds like?
It's exactly what it sounds like, where during midterms and final seasons, the Naked Donut Run organizers will tell you certain floors in the library that they will do the Naked Donut Run. So you don't have to be a part of it. You don't have to see it. But it's Brown students who are naked giving you donuts.
Nice.
That's it. When we have spring weekend, that's like our fun concert time. In my senior year, we had Ethel Kane, Remy Wolf, Jid came. That was a lot of fun. We have like other events, ADOC, a day at College Hill, a night on College Hill. Like that, I think a night in College Hill is dance, a day at College Hill is high school students coming and we house them and you can like shadow students, see what Brown is like. But it's a lot of collaborative, weird, fun people at Brown, I'd say. We're known as the Ugly Ivy, but I think we have a lot of personality to make up for it.
It's very honest.
But we're a very happy group of students. I think, you look at like the happiest people in college, and Brown is always up there. And it's because there's a lot of freedom and there's a lot of great social circles. You don't have to be part of like Greek life or frat life in order to get about and have fun. There's a lot of inclusive spaces for a lot of different types of people. It's just a very open-minded group of individuals at Brown, I'd say, and very passionate too. You'll find clubs for everything from activism to Taylor Swift to foods. I think there was a cheese club.
Nice. I think NYU, I mean, I don't want to make the positives of NYU seem more minuscule, but off the top of my head. So our campus is centered around Washington Square Park, which is beautiful. And once it gets warm, everybody's laying down on Washington Square Park. That's where all the TikTokers are that are in New York, anyways. There's a really great dosa cart in Washington Square Park.
Oh, yeah?
They have best dosas. And if you call ahead of time, you can reserve yourself samosas, which are also really delicious. The dosa cart on Washington Square Park was my favorite place to eat at school. The other thing is our library, Bobst Library, has a wonderful view of the Empire State Building. So if you want to pull an all-nighter, you might as well pull an all-nighter with a view of the Empire State Building. It's beautiful. People come. There are so many tour groups that will come into the lobby and like visit, and it's for students it's depressing, but it has a great view of the city, and it's really wonderful. And the campus is all around kind of lower Manhattan, and then Tandon is in Brooklyn, and it's really beautiful parts of all of Manhattan or New York. One of the benefits I think maybe some people don't know is if you are a student at NYU, you can buy tickets to events in New York through the NYU Ticket Center, and you can buy tickets to sporting events and like musical productions and plays at a discounted rate.
That's so nice.
It's like half the price.
That's so good.
So I would watch musicals. I mean, they're not the best seats, and you have to go on like a Tuesday or Thursday, but they're like $40 to go watch Broadway events. Or I watched so many Knicks games when I was there, and you can pretty much get into anything at any point in time.
That's wild.
It's so cheap, and it's kind of one of the ways that NYU really encourages students to take advantage of the cultural capital that is in New York City, and they make it really accessible for all of their students. The other thing that I really loved, which is kind of a nerdy thing that I really loved, is if you are at NYU, you can gain access to any library of most institutions in New York. So you're more than free to go into any library in Columbia, Cooper Union, any of the other schools, any of the SUNY schools. You have full access to all of their material. So you have like this wonderful trove. The single library at NYU is not as big as like maybe Harvard or Yale, but you have all of the resources kind of at your fingertips, and you can have them delivered to the NYU library as well.
We have the same thing as well. There's a handshake of libraries.
Exactly.
That all you can get materials like we don't have it.
But we can get it for
Stanford
you.
has it.
Yeah.
And we'll get it to you within 2 days. Like,
Yeah.
crazy.
It's
sure,
amazing.
I'll take it.
So it's definitely really a well-connected institution. It has a lot of resources if you know where to look and who to ask for. One thing I do want to say is I had the best professor. My first intro to macro and micro professor was literally the best professor I had. I mean, I think the best teacher I've had in my life, which was Professor Lieberman, I think he's still at NYU and the econ program. And he, you go to office hours, you have some wonderful professors that will like sit with you and answer questions, and they will not give up on you no matter how stupid you are today. So shout out to Professor Lieberman, but it's a really great school. I think maybe the academics of NYU gets underplayed a lot, but there are definitely wonderful faculty and resources there if you are academically ambitious, but you also want to do it in a city and you want to kind of like live off campus and be part of kind of the cultural zeitgeist of America.
If you want to be academically ambitious, but you're afraid of getting bad grades at Brown, you can pass no pass every class. We call it SNC. Haha.
That's really
It's
great.
so nice.
It's really, yeah.
Because when I picked up my computer science degree, I'm not a STEM person at all. There are some classes where I knew I would struggle and it'd hurt my GPA, even though at Brown you do not calculate a GPA. They do not calculate a GPA ever, and they don't talk about it as a thing that they recognize, but you calculate it yourself.
Right. So, I mean, Brown and NYU both great schools.
Absolutely.
If there are any questions, like anything specific that we maybe haven't talked about, that anybody has questions about, we could definitely answer those, touch on those in the comments, anywhere else. If you want to email us or check in with us on any of our socials, we're definitely more than happy to do that.
Okay, question.
You
have a theoretical high school mentee, really wants to go to NYU, do the same thing that you did.
Okay.
What is the one thing that you tell them to write in their why NYU that is like a unique little thing?
So you mean the same thing? I'm assuming we're talking about the economics program.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. The economics program, the really great strength of the economics program at NYU is that a lot of schools have economics majors split into theory or policy, but NYU, because we also have Stern, which is a really wonderful business school, and also we're in New York City, it has a really great emphasis on policy-based economics. I know a lot of other schools have wonderful theory-based programs, but economics at NYU is super strong in studying economic policy, especially like international economics and like public economics as well. And so a lot of the courses are really built around giving you a skill set that you can use when you graduate. It's not just understanding kind of the theoretical concepts and the mathematical concepts behind it, but it's really for someone who is looking to apply this degree immediately out the door as you graduate. And the program also has really great work, like research work, and also kind of internships you can do while you're a student as well. The department is kind of really great about helping students do that.
One thing that I might say, which I didn't do, but I think is something to recognize, that at Brown we have something called an independent concentration, where if you have something you want to study that's not traditional, it's not just economics, it's not just political science, it's not just history, but you want to specifically do storytelling or evil studies. I don't know what that is, but I remember reading about it. You can do an independent concentration where, using the classes at Brown, you can make your own academic curriculum.
Right, you curate your own program.
Exactly. You can be really in touch and leading what you want to study. And you can even hire, I think, outside professors or other people in the discipline. That also counts towards credits to doing that. And so I'd say if you have an idea, especially academically, what you want to do, that's something you can get in touch with and really take advantage of, while also still taking the numerous other classes at Brown.
Right. And NYU, you can do that by applying to this Gallatin School of Individualized Study. It's pretty much the same thing. So there's a whole different school to do that. Yeah, that's a really great way for students who know what they want to study. Did you do a lot of clubs?
So welcome to Show and Tell with Joon. I want to talk to you about a couple of the things that I did when I was in college.
All right.
This is a jumper, crew neck that has the logo for UCS. UCS standing for the Undergraduate Council of Students, which was the student government body, that I was in at Brown. Student government was something I did all 4 years. I got a little tired of it, but it was very memorable and a very big part of it, where I met a lot of great people. I eventually ended up doing elections. I was the elections director in my senior year, and I met a lot of great people there. A little bit of a high stress, intense kind of situation and place to be, but I think it was a great experience for me. So student government.
Next artifact.
On my laptop, you'll see that I have a lot of stickers. I have I have Pikachu here, which is not related, but these stickers have CR on them, which is the logo for the Critical Review. And the Critical Review is a organization that conducts student-made editorialized reviews for courses at Brown. So if you are a student at Brown and you want to know what Computer Science 101 is like, and you're thinking about taking it, you'd probably read a review on the Critical Review for that. That's why if you look at Brown, Rate My Professor, it doesn't really exist, because we do that for them. So what we do at the end of each semester is we'll send surveys to students, they'll fill them out, we'll get them back, and then using those surveys, we have writers and editors, and I was part of the executive editorial team to put those all on a website, to edit them, look through them, synthesize them, so that it's a resource for students to take classes in.
That's really helpful.
And then I don't have anything for this, but I was part of student theater at Brown. I remember wearing a hoodie from high school that had stage manager on the back of it. And while I was walking through the club fair, one of the upperclassmen grabbed my hoodie, dragged me, and said, "We need you," because they needed a stage manager. Which is how I ended up doing stage managing in my first year.
Okay.
Then COVID happened. But then afterwards, I found a lot of fun and a lot of joy being in production, where I did a lot of finances.
Okay.
So organizing the budget, getting show rights, talking about what kind of shows we're going to do this year, how we're going to organize the budget, telling people to submit receipts, because if you submit receipts more than 2 weeks after you purchase, we can't get the tax reimbursed. a lot of minor stuff, but I enjoyed really being in the minutia of being a part of how a production gets created.
Made. Yeah.
Without having to commit that many hours.
That's really interesting. So that's, I think, maybe something that is really great about Brown. Is that it? Is that?
I was also in the gospel choir.
Okay.
Shout out Harmonizing Grace Gospel Choir. They allowed me to sing because I actually tried out for the choir. I didn't make it,
Okay.
and that was kind of sad for me. But then I went to Harmonizing Grace because they didn't have auditions, and it ended up being a really vibrant community. I really enjoyed being in that kind of area, and also when Harmonizing Grace kind of died during the pandemic because a lot of the members left, and it's kind of hard to have a choir group over COVID. I was there to kind of help set it back up and prop it back up and integrate it with the Protestant chaplain, the Protestant chapter at Brown's. Now, I think the Harmonizing Grace right now does worship for the weekly Protestant service, and that's how I kind of kept it alive, and I'm proud of that.
That's nice. That's nice. One of the reasons I really liked NYU and I applied to NYU is because you could get away with not doing any of that. So kind of because my high school experience was something very specific. I was very big on going to a school where I didn't have to really be part of the school community. Like that was not going to make or break my success during college. And so what's wonderful about NYU is there definitely is a community. There definitely are lots of clubs that you could take part in. But you can definitely choose not to do that. And instead, I did a lot of my extracurriculars off campus. You can still do a lot of that through the departments at school and find opportunities. But most of what I did outside of class was off campus. So I did kind of volunteer work as teaching and tutoring at a French-English bilingual charter school in New York. I did lots of church stuff kind of on my own personal time. I did some theater when I first joined the College of Arts and Science because I thought maybe I would want to continue doing that. And there was an economics review that I was part of for a little bit to write in, but you don't really have to do a lot of club work in college at NYU. And
you absolutely did not have to do that, Brown.
Yeah.
I went ham, but
you really enjoy that.
I liked being part of it. A full Google Calendar is bliss to me.
Right. I really enjoyed that I could be in an environment where I could say, oh, I don't do any of that, and it would not be thought of as weird or kind of too introverted or anything like that.